am not the one and only Brandon D. Johnson. Like, no one can introduce like Brandon D. Johnson. I am Reuben M. Jackson, and of course, when my mother gave you all three names or initial, I was in trouble. But this is not trouble. It's wonderful to have you all here today on a kind of relatively humidity-free Sunday to hear what saxophonist Steve Lacy would call like the word and the jazz. But before we get any further, warm, put your hands together, as I used to say back in the day, for Mr. Pepe Gonzalez on bass. One of the great poetic names of all times, Bubbles Dean on drums. And on guitar, or as my Alabama-born father would say, on guitar. Guitar, yes. Tamor Saidi on guitar. Great ensemble. All right. There'll be more from them later. There's a little housekeeping which I'll do a little bit later, but again, I wanted to welcome you all and tell you, of course, part of what we do here, in addition to, and I'll keep this short, but you know how old brothers hang out in the barber shop all day. They don't necessarily sweep up hair, they just kind of do that. But I get to hang out with Sammy Miranda on Saturdays. Sometimes I'm in for him, but just being in this community and meeting new writers, people who love music and poetry, I just kind of sit here and I'll say something like, well, that boy got a head like Ezra Pound, or something related to poetry. But our mission is getting the word out, no pun intended, which we'll do today with very fine poet. We do have publications for sale by folks who've made a name or names for themselves in the DC community. Some are here. We have Broadsides, great new anthology which came out in April. Anyway, a powerful motley of experiences, Amiri Baraka once wrote. But again, we are here to celebrate the word. And so Sammy, am I going to start with the poet now? Or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to, like as DC, you start filibustering here. One of the things I love as an older writer is knowing, and of course you know these things intellectually, but the continuum exists. So folks, once you get to be, like I call myself DJ AARP, but you know that the originality and the exploration of themes and of course the musicality of speech, or the sound of music, if I can. Some of y'all remember Julie Andrews in that movie, is present. And we are gifted with one such poet today, and what I'd like to do without further ado is introduce her. Sasa Akil, come to the stage, and she's gonna, what's that term? Rock your world. Thank you. Big hand. All right.
Hello, everybody. I hope y'all are having a fine day. My name is Sasa Akil, as was previously mentioned. I am a poet and a multimedia artist and a bassist, and generally honored and excited to be here. These musicians behind me are amazing. And so I'm also honored to have them playing with me on a few of my poems. I think my favorite part about the set they just finished was how much fun Bubbles was having on the drums. I was like, oh my God, it looks like a good time. So I'm gonna begin. This whole day is kind of a culmination of all of my recent journey and seeing how my poetry and music interact as someone who also plays bass. So this is really cool because I get to have those things interact on stage. So this first poem is entitled Love Letter to My Bass Guitar and the People Whose Deaths Impacted My Life. Long title. Here we go. Emmett, I heard a song and it reminded me of you, of your smile and eyes. Each line reminded me of you. Brianna, I heard a song and it reminded me of you, how you were giving and kind. Each line reminded me of you. And George, I heard a song and I saw you in every line. I heard a song and it reminded me of you. Here I am, standing in front of you, wishing my fingers moved faster across your fretboards, wishing my fingers fit more comfortably on the edge of this pickup. I swear, you've been a part of me since that time I found that the roundest sounds echo through the chest as if we are both instruments. I had not the space for you then, so I tucked your name away. Held it quiet until the day I saw you and could no longer deny these days. My fingers smell like metal strings and machine heads. And I smile, cause I ain't never known an art like this. I'm not all too good at an art like this, but I smile because my first love was the sea. As deep as these bass tones, they seem confused when they see this black Muslim girl with a guitar strapped to her back, as if they expected me to go quietly through this world they built, as if they expected me to leave my vocal cords and bass amp on mute, but nah. We turn up and shout the names of everyone we've lost. I think of Brianna when I strum a B note, second fret on the A string, first chord of my heart, for we are both instruments, for they are a part of me and you are a part of me, and we do not forget. Their names, your name, and this life, it's taught me that the sin I've known ain't even sin, that there is no paradox in a black Muslim girl with a bass, a pen, clay, and acrylics. These breaths were made for ink-stained hands, hands in prayer, hands in salute. Don't shoot, I believe in God, memorial, and music. Power, prayer, and blackness in this be worship. Here I am, playing songs of revolution on you, a blue bass named Ocean, reflecting on sound and sea waves. Counting tempos, counting names, 1, 2, 3, 4, Emmett, John, Brianna, George. I wish for a world in which they were still living. I wish for a world in which my love for you and skill were the same. I wish for a world in which we all walked fully aware of our own heartbeats, knowing that we are all instruments. Thank you. They're so dope. It's so exciting to be playing with them.
Nice.
So if you notice in that song, I mentioned a bunch of things. One of the themes that came up was oceans and seas, and that's one of the things I'm obsessed with and continue to write about. So this next piece is called Sea, and I hope y'all enjoy. My sincerest wish has always been to live by the sea, to buy a house and retreat from the world, forget friends, forget home, forget fame, forget justice, just move and craft clay into vases on the wheel and paint them the color of ocean. I've always wanted to live by the coast, and I wouldn't mind the wind, the heavy rain, coastal erosion, or hurricanes would not begrudge the sea for taking back what was truly hers. I always thought my love for the sea was unfounded. Born of a part of me I could not trace, I know now it was my love for home. It was my love for those who chose the sea. I realize now what it means to be called. That the souls of my ancestors are the ocean waves that lull me, they call me, beckon me back to coastline or sea, or the last place they know before chained. The pain of their choice haunts me. How they were called slaves and so dove and chose free, chose to be souls in salt water only. How they saw bondage and they saw waves. All these years later, still sing of their decisions. I hear them in the seashells, I hear them in the wind. I sit on the beach and watch the surf. I know tomb when I see it. I know home when I see it. My sincerest wish is still to be near them, to fear their lives and how they did not deserve to die, and yet how they did. Thank you. This next piece is inspired by Tracy Chapman in her song Talking About a Revolution. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper, sounds like the rumble of my dad's junker that he refuses to fill with gas so that if it ever breaks down, he'll lose nothing, even though he swears it'll run forever. What I mean is, talking about a revolution sounds like my sister, 4 years old and singing protest chants like lullabies while refusing to fall asleep, fighting tooth and nail against dreams don't remember in the morning. What I mean is, it sounds like stubborn, sometimes irrational resistance, like parking the car with the gas light on and tomorrow be damned, risking it all for today. Only today is justice. What I mean is, talking about a revolution sounds like a chihuahua, fully knowing that it would lose any fight, but yapping as if it has an army, meaning being a nuisance to this system, no matter how minor, bucking and beating against these boxes just to prove our defiance, being stubborn, steadfast, and irrational as leaving the car on empty, risking it all for justice, and tomorrow be damned. Talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper of defiance, a guttering flame, a stubborn refusal to accept defeat, oppression, sleep, or gas prices. What I mean is, it sounds like standing with no hope against injustice and yet not backing down. It sounds like a little girl who knows she'll have to fight for her life even though she doesn't know how to live, like a 40-year-old man who refuses to fill a car that's more than half as old as he is, like a chihuahua. Small enough to punt, but loud enough to disrupt a city. Perhaps then, what I mean is that my little sister sings Black Lives Matter quietly to herself, knowing how to fight for her life better than she knows how to live, and that maybe, just maybe, talking about a revolution sounds like her. I feel like the more I go, the more nervous I get. I don't know why that's happening. It's usually the opposite. Thank you. So, my little sister is a theme that comes up a lot in my poetry, because she was born way after me, and so I gotten to watch her grow up, and she really inspires me. So this next poem is about her and many other people, and many other little girls, and many of my family who inspire me every day. This is entitled Joy. I just realized I was forgetting to say all the titles. Joy. I'm putting the band on the spot. We didn't practice this one, but we're gonna try it. And a poem about joy because we forget, will forget, or have forgotten. A poem about joy because we're still choking on tear gas, pepper spray, our own breath. A poem about joy because they don't want to see our smiles, so we gotta smile anyway. Smile big and wide enough that some can see it from Mars. Martians and Mars rovers alike marveling over this black joy that they had been told was so hard to come by. A poem for the fact that we found it today, alive and well, an act of rebellion against the system that's only ever wanted our tears. A poem for how beautiful Ayana's smile must have been, how melodious her laugh, like the chiming of church bells when I call my grandma on Sunday mornings. A poem about black things like canned cranberry sauce and cocoa butter, and how they make us smile so big and wide that some mistake ours for sunshine. A poem for my baby sister's beaded braids, and how they clink, clink, clink like money in a pocket. We ain't got much money in our pockets, but we got joy today, got laughter today, got poetry today, and everything that's ever made us powerful. So a poem for the joy that is standing and feeling your people at your back, united in love and conviction. A poem for laughter flowing unbidden from lips and hearts and eyes. A poem about how this be glory, protest, and proclamation, about how this be enough for all of us. This be enough. So, as I'm going through here, I'm kind of choosing the poem that I feel like doing as we go, because, as I mentioned before, a lot of these pieces are new. So, let me know how you're feeling. If you like it, go ahead and snap. I'd love to get crowd feedback. If you don't like it, you can stay silent, and I'll know not to do that one again. This next piece is about my grandma, who I've been interviewing about her life. So she is 72 now. She was born in Georgia and she moved to Newark, New Jersey when she was maybe 6. And so this is just a look at her and kind of my thoughts on where we come from. Something like that. It's called Your Grandmother. Your grandmother describes the way lungs feel when starved of air. She moves her arms as if gathering in and talks about that time she ran so fast and so long that she spent 10 minutes catching her breath, gulping and grasping for air as if it wasn't all around her. She laughs as she recounts her childhood shenanigans, and you smile because you believe her. She remembers imperial queens, how they believed they were the best and fought to prove it. She hasn't stopped fighting or building empires to call her own. She talks about the Newark riots, how the streets were closed and the cops would not let her go home, at least not until they had a word with her mother. She says, this was the beginning of my radicalization, and for the first time in your whole life, you notice the strength of a name like hers. You listen, fingers poised over keyboard, recording button on as she illustrates her time with Mildred Berry Garvin, Amiri Baraka, and her good friend Vicky. Her years spent authoring revolution in her own hometown. You smile and imagine the worlds she must have built. You ask her how to change the world, and she can't tell you, because she can't remember how she learned, only recalls a call to action in her blood, and the rest is history. It is no mystery how she got this far. You do not envy her journey, only the richness of her smile and how she does so often. You think of two women in your mind, the one who held a sit-in and the one who taught you to dance, and for the first time in your whole life, they are the same. My grandma's dope. I didn't know how cool she was, so I started interviewing her. And I was like, whoa, you didn't tell me that you were involved in Newark politics like that? It's really remarkable. All right, I'm going to do another piece that I had not initially planned on doing. So if I make any mistakes, just bear with me. This is an after poem to Keto Fortunes when they shoot me in the streets. Piggy Wiggy was a cop. Piggy Wiggy gotta stop. Piggy Wiggy killed my brother, and then Piggy killed another. Piggy Wiggy doesn't care. Piggy Wiggy isn't fair. Piggy Wiggy, what a pity. Piggy Wiggy hurts my city. When they shoot me in the streets, do not call me victim. Do not allow them to think they caught me off guard. I saw this coming. Saw it the day I stood up and shouted for a cause I believed in. I decided then that if death be the result of this fighting, then I would take it and do my part, because silence was never an option. When they shoot me in the streets, for the first time in a long time, my family will go a day without singing, or else they'll turn to every song they know and draw strength from the thing that has always given them strength. When they shoot me in the streets, they will not tell you my name first. Instead, they will tell you what I did wrong, how I existed like protest. My voice, skin, pen, and fists, all weapons, how they were only defending themselves. Because black and girl and unafraid be a threat to their white fragility, supremacy, privilege, and guilt, they could not risk letting me live. When they shoot me in the streets, they will say I'm guilty of some black crime that only black bodies can commit, like breathing, walking, smiling, being happy. When they shoot me in the streets, they will tell you that I deserve it. Write out a list of my vices and read them out to you. My people will come forward in my defense with all the bits of art I've gifted them over the years. My cousin will hold up an ugly bowl I made in pottery when I was 9 years old. My best friend will hold up a bracelet and chronicle all the difference we tried to build. When they shoot me in the streets, do not fear how I must have felt in those last moments. No, I was not afraid. I lay alone on the concrete and thought two things. One, this be small price to pay for the rights of my people. Two, hey family, when they shoot me in the streets, I only ask to be remembered, to be another name that is chanted and allowed to power this movement. Let my syllables be mantra, be the title of your conviction when they shoot me in the streets. I will pray for one thing only, that my small, young, black life be the last. This next piece is called Sundays, and it's kind of just about my love for poetry. I'm gonna take a breather for a second though. I'm like, whew, let me get some water. Some days, I have the echoes of so much poetry in my head that it is all I can do to live. Instead of falling, weak-kneed and willing into pillowy purple dream worlds lined with black ink and bright stars, I think of what it means to be a poet, a crafter of words, and to be wide-eyed and clutching journal with calloused hands, fingertips inscribed with all the lessons I've ever learned, or perhaps just the ones my mother saw fit to teach me. On days like this, I nearly forget my own name. I'm almost swept away by the strength of a reverie that vibrates with the music of my soul. I forget to recall the truth of this body. And then I don't. I am called back to self by a name like mine and recite long remembered lines in melody. To myself, I go about my day in a dream state, occupying a world built for me, by me, in my imaginings, but I never forget poetry. By which I mean I blink often to read the lines and lyrics I scrolled across the back of my eyelids. This is to say that poets do not rest. We only rest in our own recitations. To be a poet is to be this, happy, heavy, and only half present in the world of men. Some days, I don't have room for anything but love, rhythm, and deep black night. I only have strength to live and to be alive. Thank you. What do y'all think so far? Snaps? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to behave like I want to scream, but I'm not.
Go ahead, Lou. Go.
It's the Southern Baptist.
Funny thing, my grandma's a Southern Baptist too, so I get it.
Georgia. It's the Georgia.
Alright, this next piece is a contrapuntal, which is a poetry form that I've recently learned about, where you write two poems that can be read down in columns or across. I don't know if this one's any good, but it's about my love of music and my dislike of time, entitled Time Song. Broken hands of a clock, and this is my beef. It seems unfair to ask me to change while I dream of a world in which I snap my fingers, and who then would I be plunging into? This time is a curse, but if I were a song, the way I always should have been. Do not stop time. With existence, I'm still trying to learn what it means to get older, stop the movement of the earth around the sun. An eternal winter of this body, I would not have to worry at all. It's gonna make sense now, watch. Broken hands of a clock do not stop time. And this is my beef with existence. It seems unfair to ask me to change while I'm still trying to learn what it means to get older. I dream of a world in which I snap my fingers and stop the movement of the earth around the sun. Who then would I be plunging into an eternal winter? This time is a curse of this physical body. But if I were a song, the way I always should have been, I would not have to worry at all.
You are a song.
I'm clearly obsessed with music, which is a thing that I've been exploring recently in a lot of my poetry. I think I'm going to give the band a break, so I'm good. Until I call you back. Yeah. But this next poem I'm going to do is entitled Flag. Is entitled, When Asked About Justice, the Flag Said. You know me. I stand in the spotlight, center stage, never shy. I am proud pinnacle, star-spangled to mimic the night as if I were noble as she. I wave hello, goodbye, and good riddance, but never offer a hand to clasp in friendship. My friends are the hypocrites, and the ones who forget whose blood dyed my stripes bold. I've watched thousands fight for me, die for me, fight over me, under me, as I waved a silent anthem above their heads. I am golden door, sealed with lock and key, symbol of the free, you know, the ones with blue eyes and white skin and red blood. I am witness to that lynching, to that car crash, to that funeral, to that inauguration, to that battle in the name of freedom, but really just to profit the powerful. I am passive. I have done no wrong, simply stood where they put me, allowed them to craft for me a story of righteous contradiction. I posed for George O'Keeffe and let them sing that song for me. Oh, say, can't you see the seam where they sewed me back together after the Confederacy ripped my colors into bold, crossed lines? I didn't mind. Never really mattered who stood for me, only that I stood. I pledge allegiance to myself, for myself, because no one matters but me, and I stand at the head of their movements. I stand for liberty and justice for few, and I rest on the coffins of the fallen ones, because if nothing else, I can claim their bravery. I am the home of the brave. The ones who spoke up and were silenced. You don't even know their names. I am red, white, blue, and beautiful, star-spangled, striped, and fly, and I fly over this land as a symbol of democracy, hypocrisy, and undeserved pride. I am American flag, a symbol of what is and what is to come, and what was never what they declared me to be. I stand for the land of the free. It's tiring, all these poems. This next piece is very simply entitled Black. They call us black, but they don't know what that means. We say we are black, and what we mean is we are midnight, chestnut, butterscotch, and every shade in between. We are mahogany, ebony, terracotta, caramel, chocolate, peanut butter. We are honey and sweet like it too. We are maple syrup, cinnamon, brown sugar, dark volcanic sand. We are black, meaning we are vast like black holes and as brilliant as obsidian. We are tree bark, eagle feather, acorn, owl eye, amber. We are deep, rich loam. We are black, meaning we are dark like the good earth and strong like her stone. We are beautiful like the night sky and worthy on our own. Thank you. That piece I actually wrote because I wanted to make it into like a little book for my sister. Haven't done it yet, but that was the intention. Okay, let it pass. Cool. All right, this next piece, hold on. I'm trying to be slick and like search it up on my Google Docs. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. All right. This next piece is entitled Dearest Oppressor. Dearest oppressor, I thought I would always be afraid. Broken spirit, broken back, a shivering, shattered mess. I thought I would suffocate under all of this weight. Your hate and empty magazines make for one heavy load. I thought my only chance at survival was to swallow my pride and surrender, to keep my hands up when you shouted, keep my hands up, or you would shoot, keep my hands up. I thought this black Muslim child's only chance at life was to become a constant apologist who giving away what was truly mine. I'm sorry for all this space I'm taking up. But yesterday, an old enemy reminded me that hands up is a position of power, hands up is a position of power, and hands up is a position of power. So I prayed for the fortitude of Muhammad and the courage of Hussein, for the innovation of Khadija and the power of Zainab. And dearest oppressor, I am writing this letter to you because I know you would hate all of this strength I've found. Use it as grounds to further your irrational fear and rationalize your decision to put a bullet through me, because anything with this much strength that isn't red like blood, white like you, or blue like that sky you claim to own doesn't deserve to breathe. But my hands are up, my hands are up, my hands are up. Don't shoot. So that brings me to the end of all the poems I have, fully written and good enough to good enough to share. But it doesn't bring me to the end of my set, so I figured this next part could be kind of fun and weird for me, where I would share like unfinished pieces and see what happens. So as I mentioned, my journey right now is like figuring how music and poetry interact. So I have a chapbook that I'm currently working on called, the working title, The Culmination of All My Despair and the Music That Saves Me. So I am gonna read out a couple of those, and y'all can let me know what you think, in the same ways you have been before. All right. This one is about music in my family culture. I write about them a lot. My home be musical theater, and my siblings and I be chorus, be ensemble, be gifted vocalists, untrained and untested, with harmony and vigor to keep us confident. It'd be my mother's fault, I think, to have allowed us access to music, musicals, and music teacher that would forever have our love. We have never truly known stage. But every family meal is liable to become performance, become singing contest, rap battle, or Hamilton reenactment. I cannot pinpoint the day we fell in love with music. But perhaps that's because it's been forever, been my entire life and my older siblings. Besides, it's not uncommon to be black and filled to bursting with melody, to be born brown-skinned and brimming with our ancestors' first taste of freedom, knowing rhythm and weary blues from birth as if we had never been taught. My siblings and I, we know it, and sing to fill the spaces between Asr and Maghrib, only falling silent to pray, and still reveling in the melody of it all.
You got one or two more?
I got one more.
Do it.
All right. This is really, really short poem, and it's recently I've been on this like nonfiction kick, so I'm trying to like understand our country and all the systems that work within it. So I've been reading a lot of Chris Hedges, which is very depressing. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, what? So I wrote this poem. How do we save the world? Do we whisper love while they shout hate? Do we do good while surrounded by bad? Do we share while they hoard? Do we heal where they hurt? Do we save while they throw away? Do we plant while they burn? Do we build while they break? Do we serve while they take? Do we pray? Do we say to the stars that there will be change? Do we abandon hope and call that free? Do we fight then, only aiming to show that we will not go quiet through a world in decay? Do we sing? Do we sing? Do we sing?
Yeah, girl.
That's it for me. Thank y'all for listening.
I'm gonna drop the mic for her.
Yeah.
Put your hands together again. Sasa Akil. But they'll make me pay for it if I drop it. In the spirit of music, speech music, which we heard just now, to quote Amiri Baraka's definition of poetry, more music from this very fine trio. Once again, put your hands together for my man. We go back a minute or two, 5 or 10 minutes. Pepe Gonzalez on bass. Come on, don't be all DC. Come on now, okay? Put some mumbo sauce on it. I'm not the mayor. I like mumbo sauce. All right. Bubbles Dean swinging on drums and on guitar. Some more Saidi. All right. More music. More word later. Thank you all for coming. This is, to quote Brandon, this is the American Poetry Museum.
said, you know what? We're gonna have you guys go with one more poem from two different poets, or one round. Is it 2 poems each?
One or two.
Oh, no, it's one.
One, yeah.
So 2 poems, 2 poets, and we got both side generation. All right.
Yeah, who can help me to the thing?
All right. We got.
Okay. All right, thank you. Oh, thank you, sir.
Jay. Why you put him on the spot like that, bro?
I didn't know it. Oh, you know he gonna watch the flesh.
Come on, you putting him on the spot. Yo, kid.
I'm good. Hi again. This is kind of a bucket list thing for me. I'm so inspired. I said, well, could we possibly do one round and trade fours? Before the reading started, we were talking about the commonality between, well, just the love for poetry, but the sound, the musicality and all. So this is, my birthday's not till October, but I consider this an early gift to trade fours, to use a musical term with such a great writer. This piece is, it's in the voice of a character named Kelly Donaldson. He's 80-something, a black man, kind of flinty, straight shooter. You know, Malcolm X would tell people when he was being introduced to make it plain. So Kelly is not he doesn't go this way and this way. He's just like this. And he's smitten, to use an old term, with a woman named Francine. So this is, it's on a broadside, which you can buy here wherever poetry is sold. And it's called Kelly on Francine. I talk a lot. I say a million things. Some have never seen the light of day. We chat for hours. Only once did my tongue ask for a breather. I don't hate many things, but one of them is saying goodbye. Here you go.
It is a pleasure for me to trade poems with the great Mr. Rubin. So this piece, I actually was going to do something else, but your poem kind of changed my mind. So this piece is called Jokes, and I have not read this since I wrote it like a year and a half ago, so it might not be good, but here we go. I tell her all the jokes that I write that aren't funny. The jokes that I keep writing because if you think hard enough, they'll make you smile, like a black Muslim girl walks into a bar and knows half the patrons by name. Or a homeless man with a harmonica sits on a bench. He plays with his eyes closed so he cannot see, and he plays so loud that he cannot hear. Each night he counts his coins for the first time. Each night he is pleasantly surprised. Or the hijabi works at the hair salon. Or knock knock.
Who's there?
The girl.
The girl who?
The girl whose name had your tongue tripping over its own feet. She laughs. She laughs, and I'm happy I made her smile. She laughs, feels proud of a girl like me. She gives me the name that means everything, calls me granddaughter. And her granddaughter I am.
All right.
You knocking at the door, bro. Come on, y'all. Procol Harum. Lord, I ain't heard that name since the 70s. And I'm only 22, y'all. This gentleman might be sitting in with us, so let's see. You tell me. It won't be as dark as sheriff. I mean, it will be a white sheriff. We can run the work. gentleman that joined us on trumpet. I know him as Kit. He came by last week or 2 weeks ago and wanted to sit in with us. Kit.
Once again, a round of applause for this wonderful, wonderful ensemble. Pepe Gonzalez on bass. Come on, don't be introverted like me. Mr. Bubbles Dean on the drums. All right, yeah, take the mute off the trumpet. And on guitar, Tamor Saidi. Wonderful, so thank you all, like butter as they used to say. And on voice, on speech music, I'm gonna use that term again, the one and only Sasa Akil. One more time, a little bit more fervor. Sasa, yes, yeah. All right. Just a little bit of business before we, close the tent. I was gonna make a reference to Woodstock because the first Woodstock anniversary was this weekend, and there's that announcement: don't stay away from the brown acid. I was gonna say my age is like stay away from the brown and acid, but that's blah blah blah. Bada boom, 2 shows on Sunday. We are, as some of you know, a nonprofit, and while we love doing this, we rely on grants and the generosity of people like yourself to keep this programming going. So whether it's in the form of maybe buying a book or a broadside by many of the great gifted DC area writers, some of which are here, please feel free to do so. You can pay PayPal or Cash App. We also ask you if you're old school and grew up like I did and passed the plate in church. We have a shine box here, so anything you put, quiet money, as the ministers used to say, keep us going. So please consider that. Now, in 2 weeks we have more music, another jazz jam. We'll either have jazz and poetry and or just music, but in 2 weeks from today, they're always 3 to 5 on Sunday. More music. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and we'll keep you abreast of what's coming down the pike. It has been a great honor to MC this program. Again, I'm no Brandon Johnson, but I did my best. I am Reuben Jackson. I call myself Pierce and Mary Jackson's music and poetry loving son. Also, there's water and Coca-Cola and stuff here because the humidity's lower, but it's still a bit warm. But thank you all again for being a great audience, and hang out, talk amongst yourselves, buy some stuff, support poetry so I can buy a house in Malibu and like big bag it. Then I woke up. Okay, thank you.
What's your name? Sheila?
Yeah, I just was that really encouraging. So she's really good. Yeah, it's wonderful. Scared of people. Are you in school?
Yeah, I'm at She's teaching.
Are you international?
Yes. It's where all introverts go when you think, run to the bench. But yeah, he's a sweet guy. Mm-hmm. Only what I think. Yeah, well, I sent you there.
Go ahead, Sasa. Pick yours. Whatever you want, Sasa. Whatever you want.
Yeah, it's well, I'm blushing. Like I can't really talk. I'm trying to be, I have a cousin.
But I've been here since a year.
So we're talking. He says, "How you doing?" I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." No, you know what I mean. Like, how you doing? Like, your girlfriend doesn't seem right. Oh, go right ahead. Yeah. Ah, your friend. Yeah, yeah.
That's the only one you want?
I will do. Kelly.
Hey.
Yes.
Well.
All right, good to see you. All right, take care now.
That one is 20.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah, I have them inside. Today I decided I'd bring them out just to like give people more access. Yes, you can take. Thank you for that.
the white hair woman. This is my girlfriend's mother. And my girlfriend, she's like, "So, how you doing? You a little bit lonely?" I'm blushing like I'm sick.
Yeah, these are the same.
I said, "Yeah, but
Thank you. Appreciate you.
you know what? I'll find one in here."
¿Cómo estamos? Vaya. Ya se lo perdieron, ya terminamos. Pero el último domingo del mes, de 3 a 5, allá. Hoy de 3 a 5.
So you hanging in there? All right.
El último domingo del mes.
Okay.
Este hermano.
Always a pleasure. Okay.
To hear you.
The ham. Yes.
But that's why I have to come here. Tell us how Sunday afternoon.
It's a Sunday. And you know, I always look for you. Because now I'm used to you being here.
Well,
I'm like,
you know, this year has been weird. Thank you.
Excuse
But
me.
this year it's been hard because my golf club meets on Sundays. It seems like this year they're met on all the Sundays that we have them. Like even today, we just postponed it because other people couldn't make it on Sunday.
all right. That's when you're like, y'all need to come over here.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what, yeah. All right then. See you next
Okay.
time.
No, I don't do go-go. I respect go-go. I don't do go-go. You know? We're mostly a poetry spot.
So basically, it's the last Sunday of each month.
The last Sunday of each month from 3 to 5.
Okay.
And it's always like they're always a badass. Always.
Sundays. So, sister, what is
It's a poetry space. It's a poetry performance space, and it's like so. We usually do we also have a gallery show. Like every 2 months, we switch out the gallery show. Right now, we're in between shows. So the next show will be 5 Latino artists, including myself, I'm Sammy. You live in the neighborhood?
No lejos de aquí, de DC, pero la costa. Ese es el lugar de la costa.
Yeah, so yo estoy ahí en Manor Park.
Ah, ok, sí, exacto. Entonces, sí, ahí. Entonces, aquí venía que hacer algo de deporte aquí abajo, al otro lado, en el centro de arte. Ahí hacer deporte los domingos. Este es mucho, no solo guacho, este de todo.
Lo que pasa cuando come mucho.
Sí, entonces, pero eres músico, entonces.
No, yo soy poeta.
Dedicarte.
When I tried every year. So maybe the real machine is poetry.
¿Cómo que se llama?
E.L. Haynes.
La casa y la sierra. Cerca de la casa.
Por la Buchanan. Kansas, Buchanan, ahí.
I was trying and I was like, I'm just.
Bueno, aquí estamos.
Entonces dan qué clases y todo eso aquí.
No, hasta ahorita no damos clases, pero estamos abiertos. A veces llegan muchachos y se tienen a escribir. A nosotros, pues, siempre hay un poeta presente, se le ayuda. Llegan adultos, llegan se sientan un rato. Pero nada formal. Lo formal que tenemos son las exhibiciones y ¿cómo se llama? Y las presentaciones de poesía y música. Eso es lo formal. Lo informal tiene un poquito más valor para mí. Que cuando llegan la gente, llegan regularmente, uno se sienta un rato, diga un poco, comparten. Bueno, aquí estamos a la orden. Ok, papito, Enrique, ¿verdad?
Enrique, sí.
Vaya, un placer.
Sam.
Gracias.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and keep the change, please.
Right, appreciate you. No, thank you for coming.
No, I know.
It's almost like you've been in my classroom.
She's gonna come back and sing.
Uh-oh, game. All right.
Not that I'm her age.
I told him, I was like, I'm asking him because
Push it.
so stupid. Like, where can I sing? But I used to sing live, and I don't want to perform.
Well,
You know that kind of it comes out from here.
You know what happens? In the base too.
Yeah, of course.
And his wife is there.
And the thing is, like, one. Oh, Tristan. Yeah.
They
Okay.
have live performances.
Conversation has been
The
good.
conversation.
I'm so bad because a couple of these places I knew when I was so thank you. Listen, the way you're gonna remember my name when I see you, I don't know if now that was your name. Different sort of way to answer. The name is shown as a problem, and you just have
good to see you, my friend. All right now, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, man.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Sammy, listen.
Evening.
How? Where
The boutique. Take it easy, y'all. Thank you.
Take care.
They were different. Well, it depends on the publishers really know what they're doing. Like, yeah, or they're making connections with it. So yeah, I also get certain amount of copies. Different percent. Cool. Thank you as always. No, like twice a month. Like the jazz once, and then the poetry and jazz
Oh, dear, I know. Brody.
Where you know? Where you really know? Where you really know?
Play Brody. Oh,
And then other than that, here, what's going on here?
We're open. We're just open.
But nothing's happening.
Not really. Other than the programming that we do, and then our exhibits. Right, you got some team on it?
No.
You sure?
I can think of something. But not really.
oh.
Straight from Puerto Rico, man. There you go. Hey, well, we always happy to see you. Oh, thank you, man. You got it? Voy a poner aquí. You read poetry? You read poetry? Yeah, man. That includes work by him, by me, by a bunch of DC folks. Did you ever get a copy of that?
No.
It's a good one.
Toma, because you haven't read it yet.
Sí, ¿cómo era? Español
Sea el mío.
Oh, my God.
Puertorriqueño.
Boricua.
Eso es. ¿Y la suya?
Taínos. Panameño.
Échale. Mi abuelo tuvo muchos años durante la Segunda Guerra Mundial.
Oh,
En el canal.
oh, sí.
Tiene fotos de los 40.
I'm gonna talk to that lady, right? Shannon.
I can do this. I love poetry. I don't know what to say.
What's your color?
Oh,
a gift. No. That's a gift. It's like you read it, and then you gotta come back and give us 12. That's your price. I gotta see your face.
curtain.
Okay. Alright. Thank you. Thank you.
You know what I'm talking about?
I am glad.
And I'm glad you did it.
It was actually it was hard, but
Yeah, I'll post it probably in the next week on YouTube.
Explain me.
great.
Oh shit, you still going.